Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's Q&A session. Please, just a little bit of mic check. If you can hear me, please use the reaction button to react so I'll know I'm audible. Okay, thank you, Tim Lee. Right, so let's get straight into it. For those of us who may be joining this Q&A session for the first time, I'll do a little bit of introduction of myself. My name is Shadrach. An operations manager at a digital agency with over 7 years worth of experience when it comes to marketing, starting off as a social media manager and then spreading on into other areas of digital marketing. For tonight's Q&A session, we have a special guest who is a paid ads specialist with over 15 years of experience in digital advertising in the person of Mr. Joshua. So he's joining this class to help us take our questions, all questions we have regarding paid ads on Meta, on Google. He's actually a paid ad specialist, like I said, with over 15 years of experience. So I'm going to call on him now to do a little bit more of introduction of himself, and then we can get started. Hi, Mr. Joshua, can you hear me?
Yeah, Mr. Shadrach, good evening. Happy Sunday.
Good evening, happy Sunday to you too. So yeah, you have the floor. I know I did a little bit of introduction, but I know there is more to what I've just said now.
Okay, so let me let me slow down on the blowing of trumpets. I think the one you said is enough. All right. So good evening, everyone. Happy Sunday. Some of you have met me, some of you have not seen me before. But just like Mr. Shadrach said, my name is Joshua and I'm an ad manager and an ad specialist. Right. So I've been in the game for over 15 years. That's a very long time. I've not actually sat down to calculate it, but thank you for calculating it for me, Mr. Shadrach. Yeah. So I'm an ad manager at Better of Service Advertising Agency. And I've managed large accounts, small accounts, medium accounts. When I say large accounts, I'm talking about uh, ad spends of close to $3 million, not naira actually. Yeah, so let me leave it at that. So I want this particular Q&A to be quite interactive. Yeah, I want it to be quite interactive. So how many people is on the call? Okay, we have quite a good number of people. Okay, so how many of you joined um the live simulation, ad simulation that happened like about 30 minutes ago, ended 30 minutes ago? You can use the raise hand feature so that I will know how many of you were able to join. Mr. Shadrach, I can go ahead, right?
Yes, you can go ahead, please.
Okay. So please use the raising of hand features under reaction if you joined the live ad simulation that ended about 30 minutes ago. Please, I don't want to be seeing people on the call and then nobody is interacting. What's the point joining if you are not interacting? Just raise your hands if you joined. If you did not, also let me know. There is no offense if you did not join. Just let me know so that we can move ahead. Okay. Ademide. Okay. Is it only Ademide that is on this call? Okay, Gigi. Okay, you say you saw the message late. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So let's you couldn't Zenny. Okay. That's fine. So let's go ahead with the Q&A. So any question regarding the modules for this week? I know this week specifically digital advertising. So any question, even if it's not connected to what you learned, well, as far as it's connected to paid advertising, social media ads, just throw it so that we can address it. Waiting for your questions. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, just unmute yourself.
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir.
Okay. So I just want to ask you something. Have you run any social media ads before? Did you hear my question?
Sir, is a question for us or just for one person, please?
No, just for you. I'm asking you.
Okay. No, sir, I haven't.
Okay. You've not created any form of, you've not boosted a post before, you've not created an ad before, either on Facebook, Instagram, nothing.
No, sir. No, sir. I haven't.
Sir.
Okay, interesting. What about you, Boluwa? Boluwa, can you hear me? Boluwa, if you can hear me, just unmute yourself and answer. So why Boluwa is doing that? Who is the team lead for these two cohorts? Team leads, please identify yourself so that. Are you the one?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you are the one.
So I'm the team lead for Cohort 3.
Cohort 3. Okay.
I'm the team lead for Cohort 3.
What of Cohort 4? Abigail, are you the one for Cohort 4? Please, let's pick up. No time. Let's be fast. I believe tomorrow is Monday. Okay, Zeni, I'll still get to your question. But Abigail, are you the team lead for Cohort 5? Cohort 4, I mean to say.
Cohort 4. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to know the two team leads. Okay, Zeni, you asked the question, how do you ensure transparency and authenticity in social media advertising? So Zeni, if you can unmute yourself and elaborate on the question. What do you mean by transparency and authenticity? Zeni, I'm waiting for you. Zeni Yeri. Zeni, you asked the question. Okay, if any other person has question, please let them go ahead until Zeni is ready to unmute herself.
I don't know if that I have the top, but
Your mic is on. Are you? I don't. I'm not getting. Are you trying to ask a question or something?
Can you guys hear? I have a question.
I can hear.
Okay. How do I use my tablet audio? I'm sorry, is it okay if I type? I'm in a noisy environment right now. Can I type my question?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can type. Yeah. So why she's typing? Any other question can also come in. While she's typing.
Okay, sir. So I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
So, sir, how can we decide on the right campaign objective for goals that we want to advertise? How can we decide on the right
If,
campaign objective?
if you want to advertise gold,
Like, how will I decide on the right campaign objective?
okay, what do you want to advertise?
Maybe um maybe product on cream or anything advertisable or materials, anything. How can I decide on the right campaign or objective? So,
Okay, so let me use cream, the first product you mentioned, right? So cream is a product, like a physical product. So for cream, our advice you go with sales, right? Because other objectives, there are several objectives available when creating meta ads. I know there's awareness, there's traffic, there's engagement, there is leads, there is app promotion, and then there is sales, right? So if your focus is to drive sales for people to buy your product with maybe through your e-commerce website, um, through WhatsApp, right? If you're a WhatsApp vendor, you want them to message you and then you send them your account details, they make payments basically, right? You use sales, right? Because sales objective is focused on driving product sales, right? But if it's something that has to do with a high-end product that obviously they're not going to easily part with their money with you in just couple of interactions with you, either just interacting with your ads or visiting your website or speaking with a sales agent. You need to like take them more on a journey before they tend to convert, right? Sorry, our advice you use leads campaign, right? So because the kind of products, if you're selling it, if your the price of the product that you're advertising falls is between the range of 1,000. I'm using naira for example, right? So you can do the conversion for your country's currency because I know there are other students from different countries. So let's say for example, your if you are sending we have what's it called, a questionnaire that we tend to send to clients that we work with at Better Off Service, right? And part of the question we tend to ask our clients to determine the objectives that we use, we tend to ask them what is the price range of your products, right? What is the purchasing power that you're looking at? What range does your product price fall in? Right. So we have like from 1,000 naira to about 100,000 naira. Then we have from 100,000 naira to about 500,000 naira. Then we now have 500,000 naira above, right? So if a client selects from 1,000 to 100,000, then and if it's a product, we tend to go for for sales objective because we know that uh, sometimes the it's easier for customers to part money with you, when the price of the product falls into a certain range. But if it goes above a certain range, no matter how good your advertising is, your customers won't buy straight up, right? It's not the amount is not something that they can easily part way with, right? So yeah, so if it's product sales, go with sales. If it's leads, services, go with leads. But there's also a tweak. There's an objective called engagement, right? These days, when you select an objective on Meta ads, right, they tend to give you several options. It's not like when those days when you, for example, if you select leads, you must use the leads form or you must use website. Right now is a bit different, meaning that even though you select an objective, you can still select the options that are still available for let's say for example you select engagement objective now, you can see options, right? Conversion locations that there is also available for leads and sales. Please don't be deceived to go for that, right? If it's leads that you want to generate, go for leads. If it's sales, go for sales, right? If you go for engagement and select the same this thing for sales with the engagement, it's a 50-50 chance, meaning that 50-50 in the sense that you might get the right people, you might not get the right people. So it's a 50-50 chance, right? So I always advise people to go for the right objective that they are looking for. If you want to drive sales, go for sales. If you want to drive leads, go for leads. Did I answer the question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. I know some people dropped question on the chat. Zeni, you said you're asking about the importance of being open and honest and genuine in social media advertising, how it impacts the audience perception of the brand. Okay, so it's important to be transparent, right? Transparency, it's the word itself, it depends on how you want to use transparency. For example, you can decide not to if you decide not to put the price of a product while advertising a product, that does not make you not transparent, right? You are trying to soften the ground so that people can reach out to you, people can reach out to your brand so that they can engage with your brand, experience your brand, and then you can now introduce price to them. So introducing price to them, by that time they've already seen the value of what they are getting for the price, right? So that is not being untransparent. That is more like being a strategy. Right? So it depends on how you use transparent. But I do not advise trying to misinform people or trying to dupe people or trying to be what's the word again? Anything that is bad, I don't support that, right? But when it comes to what I just mentioned earlier, that one is more like a strategy because you are trying to show them the value. Because if you put price ahead, sometimes some people tend to have tend to take the back seat once price is mentioned. And if you don't want that to be the case, you have an experience you want them to experience before you introduce price to them. That will help them to convince them, right? You can go ahead and do that. So I believe, Zeni, if I answered your question, let me know. Gigi, you mentioned can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I thought that my audio went off. All right. So Gigi, you asked how do I reach my target audience and how can I ensure my clients that I am sure. Okay, how can I assure my client that I'm sure and I will grow their social media account, not just by followers, but by followers that will actually patronize. Personally, I've been trying to grow my page and I've been stuck with just little more than 200 followers and go to 4 years. Okay, so this question is not connected to ads, right? So I believe Mr. Shedrack will be the right person to answer your question, Gigi. It's not connected to ads. So you're asking about how do you grow your social media followers, and then how do you convince your clients, assure them that you can actually grow theirs too. I think Mr. Shedrack will take that particular question. Alex, how do you identify the target audience in social media marketing? Okay, so target audience in social, how do you identify your target audience? Okay, so there are several tests you can actually do in terms of your target audience. First of all, you can first of all, if you've had prior sales, like customers who have bought from you before, right? So you can make a list of those customers, right? You can reach out to those customers and ask them, okay, why did you decide to buy from us, right? What were the challenges you were having before you reached out to us in the first place? Yeah, so there's no best place to get information about your target audience than from a previous customer, right? But if you don't have a previous customer before, maybe you're just starting out and you are trying to like know who your target audience is. One of the ways to know is to check out your competitors. I believe you should be able to know who and who is competing with you in that particular space, right? Check out your competitors and then analyze your competitors' audience. Analyze their audience, right? The kind of comments they make, the kind of demographics, whether if it's younger demographics, analyze your competitors' audience, right? And there are also tools that you can actually use to analyze your competitors' audience. For example, there are tools, extensions, Chrome extensions that you can use to analyze a particular Instagram account followers to tell you their age, their location, their interest, um, their gender as well, right? So there are tools like that you can and check on Google, like extensions that you can check analytics, social media analytics. You can use that to check your competitors' analytics to actually know the kind of people that follow them, the kind of people that engage with their content, with their product, with their services on social media. Right. So that's one of the ways to also know if you're just starting out. But if you already have like some number of customers, it's best to reach out to those customers, right? And then do a little bit of survey with them, create a survey, ask them some questions, and get them to give you feedback. So that's like one way to go about that. Alex, please let me know if I was able to answer your question. Another question: if a business is involved in multiple areas such as real estate, agriculture, imports, and does not yet have the budget to hire a social media manager, would it be better to create a single page that promotes all aspects together rather than managing separate pages for each? Okay, so first of all, what's it called? The industries that you mentioned, they are totally apart, like real estate. I know agriculture also has to do with land, though, but you didn't specify the kind of agriculture. Then you also mentioned import and exports, right? So in this case, you can combine both of them as an account in one particular social media account. You can actually also separate them, right? So one of the things I would advise, although Mr. Shedak will still throw in like his own suggestions in regards to this, but one of the things I would advise is to weigh the cons and the pros, right? Which one is more beneficial? Having them separate, will it be more beneficial than having them together? I've seen brands that rub off on each other. So let me use, for example, the Cubana brand, for example, right? The Cubana brand is a brand. There are several extensions. The reason why they keep on rolling out products under the Cubana brand is because the Cubana brand as a brand has impact. The entertainment brand itself fuels the other businesses that Obi Cubana is into, right? So if you have that kind of brand, then you can go ahead. But if you don't have that kind of brand, right, you don't have like a particular brand that is the source of the attention for the entire, is like an umbrella to the entire empire, right? Don't go for that approach. Just break it down separately, right? So another example of brands that broke down this into separate entities on their own is companies like Techno. Techno Techno device, the owner of Techno, the people that makes Techno are the ones that make Infinix, right? So, but do did they like categorize it under the same umbrella? No, they don't. Like they separate. Most people don't even know that the person behind Techno is the same person behind Infinix, and it's also the same person behind Itel. These three these three different brands, right? Three different businesses, but they're all standalone. So you just have to weigh the pros and cons. How does it affect your business? Does it improve your business or does it derail your business? Right. So that's how you now decide to know whether if you put them in the same umbrella or separate them when it comes to creating social media accounts. Okay. I can please, what's the difference between manual bidding and automatic bidding, and when should I use each? Okay. So manual bidding, I think that has to do with Google Ads, right? Facebook Ads is not like big on bidding, like bidding strategy. Although they have that section, but most of the time it's hidden. Okay, so for Google Ads, manual bidding is you setting the amount you want to pay per customer. Automatic bidding is allowing the platform, whether if it's Facebook, whether if it's Google, to decide the bidding for you, right? So they all have their pros and cons, right? For manual bidding, the cons in it is that you have to constantly check the biddings of your competitors to now decide to increase or reduce. That's the con side of it. You have to be present to actually check. So the pro side of it is that the platform will not spend without your awareness, right? But for automatic bidding, you are making the platform the captain of the ship. You're telling them, go ahead and do the bidding for me. Set budgets for me. I don't need to be there. I trust you to do it for me. Right. So that's automatic bidding. The platform does it for you. Right. So I only advise automatic bidding when you've run some couple of ads already on the platform. Right. And the platform itself, whether if it's Google, whether if it's Facebook, already understands your target audience. They've gotten a little bit of data and they now understand your target audience, that they can now make reasonable decisions in terms of bidding. That's the only time I advise automatic bidding. If not, go with manual bidding. So Oluyemi, how can I run social media ads for a fashion brand while working as a social media manager in order to boost the social media presence? Okay, so as a social media manager, part of your strategy is to involve what's it called, social media ads, right? Because especially if you're on Instagram and Facebook, TikTok is very friendly with new accounts, so you don't really need to boost your posts on TikTok. If you do what is right, follow trends, use hashtags and some other strategies, right, you have the chance of competing with people who have been on the platform for a long time. The same goes with YouTube, but Instagram is a different ball game. Facebook is already changing, moving towards that direction, but Instagram is yet to get there. Right? So I always advise social media managers to involve ads in their strategy. So ads in the sense that they should set out budgets to boost some posts that they make, like some contents to reach more audience. Right. So I always advise that. So yes, I believe that should have answered your question. Oluyemi, if that answered your question, also let me know. So Alex Saka, apart from Notion, is there any other tool that can be used to create content calendar if I want to learn? Okay, I believe that question should be answered by your instructor, Mr. Shedrack. Alex, your last question. All right, so what is going on the chat? If you have more questions, please drop it on the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask. Mr. Shedrack.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so there are some questions that are for you on the chat.
Yeah, so let me quickly answer them before you respond to the question I just dropped in. So I'll start off with Alex. Other tools that you can use to create content calendar, you can use Google Sheets. to create your content calendar. I know Notion sometimes can be a little bit difficult to navigate, but Google Sheets is another tool that you can use. Also, depending on how you want to structure your content calendar, there are other Google tools as well. Even Google Slides can be used to create content calendar if you know your way around Google Slides, right? So these are some other tools that you can explore. I think for this question that talks about if a business is involved in multiple areas, I think Joshua already answered it to a large extent. So if you don't have that superior brand that is, more like the uh, empire or the lead brand, right? It's not advisable, especially if you're starting off, to take all of these businesses, into one social media platform or one social media account, right? So it's better if you're starting off to create separate accounts for them and create strategies to grow them as well. There's one more question. Okay, yeah, this one from Gigi. How do I reach my target audience? How can I ensure my client that how can I assure my client that I'm sure I will grow their account, not just my followers, but my followers that will actually patronize. Personally, I've been trying to grow my page and I'm stuck with just. Okay, so the thing with social media growth, either follower growth and all these days is the algorithm, and it's platform specific, right? So it's a little bit more difficult to grow pages or accounts on Instagram than it is on platforms like TikTok, right? But having said that, some of the strategies that you deploy include using the right hashtags, right? So with niche focus hashtags, trendy hashtags as well. Consistency, be consistent with your posting, have a posting schedule or frequency. Then also engage with other people in your niche or your industry. This helps to bring people to visit your page. And obviously, if you have good content, you get to interact and engage. Also, try to use features on platforms like Instagram, such as polls, to make it to get people to want to engage, so that the more people engage, the more your chances of reaching people organically, right? And then finally, obviously, is to have a strategy where you can also explore paid ads, be it a little bit of, you can just boost a couple of posts, have a set budget that you want to boost posts on platforms like Instagram, have your call to action to visit profile and all that, but you need to have good content to ensure that you're not just spending money for the sake of it. So these are some of the strategies that you might explore or you'd want to explore to, grow your target, to reach your target audience and also grow your social media accounts, followers, have good reach and all that. Right, let me see if there's any other question. I think those are majorly the questions I can see for me. Let me jump to these two that just popped in. Okay, so yeah, I think I've answered the questions. I can hand over now to Joshua so you can respond to Ekanem's question.
Okay, thank you. So, Kanem, you're asking, how do I track sales and leads from ads accurately? Okay, so if you're running leads ads, definitely there's what's called conversion location. And when you're setting up your ads, you tend to select where you want your leads to land, right? So there are several options you can select. There's WhatsApp, and if a lead converts, definitely you will get a WhatsApp message from that particular lead. Then there's the leads form. Leads form is the form that is inbuilt in Facebook, right? That your clients just have to fill up and then provide their names, contact information, right? And then you can reach out to them afterwards. So once they fill up that particular form, you can be able to view the form on the form section, right? On the ads, right? So if your location is website, then definitely there should be like a button on the website that leads them to your email, to email you, or to send you a message, or to call you, whichever channel you want to use via your website, right? So yeah, so everything happens via your conversion location. So once you select that, just monitor that particular channel, and you can be able to track the leads coming in. I can hope I answered your question correctly. Sorry, not correctly. I mean, hope I was able to answer your question. All right. So more questions, please. More questions. The more questions you ask, the more you get to learn. Right? Ask more questions. So you don't need to like type if it's taking too long. You can actually unmute yourself and then ask your question directly if typing is stressful. Okay.
Hello, good evening. Good evening,
Yeah,
everyone.
good evening.
Please, I want to ask that how am I going to choose or decide the right content to use for my client on Facebook or Instagram ad? Assuming my client is into fashion design and I want to make a Facebook ad. So am I supposed to how am I going to choose if I'm supposed to use content writing or I'm supposed to use graphics for the ad or I'm supposed to use video ad? Thank you.
Okay. So to answer your question, right? When it comes to fashion, fashion is a visual thing, right? So it depends on the the piece of clothes itself. When I say piece of clothes, I know fashion also entails other things. But I'm just using clothes as an example, right? Fashion is visual. So if you're using creatives, if you're using graphics design, right, make sure that you don't need to design anything basically, right? You just have a photo shoot. Tell your clients have a photo shoot with a model wearing the clothes, right? Because people tend to picture themselves on the clothes, and if your this thing, your image, I don't want to use the word graphics because most of the time it's not necessarily, it doesn't have to be like a design graphics. It can be a photo shoot of your model wearing the clothes, right? People tend to like visualize themselves in that clothes, and if they don't see someone that looks like them wearing the clothes, it doesn't really make it look that appetizing. That's where the term "what I ordered versus what I got" came into place, right? Because people have learned how to use visually appealing pictures to communicate, like to attract the right audience, right, to buy their clothes, right? So yeah, you can also advise the client to use videos, right? So I only advise videos when uh the client wants to like show the other parts of the clothes, like the other parts of the clothes. Let me use clothes for example. Right. So there's some clothes that a video will do more justice to than graphics. Right. There are some clothes that a video will do more justice to than graphics. So if there's opportunity for them to do such videos, they should go ahead, hire a photographer, or even use their own device. Right. Mobile device. I know mobile device cameras these days are quite good to do their own shots, right? And then give it to you. You do a little bit of touches to it. You can add a price, a caption to it in terms of price, and then you are good to go when it comes to that. When it comes to ad creatives, did you hear me?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. More questions. More questions. Time is ticking. I'm enjoying this Q&A. So let's ask more questions so that you can learn more.
So, Mr. Joshua, a couple of questions in the chat. Let me just take the first two.
Oh.
So the first question, which is asking, how do I start as a social media manager without any portfolio? So this is more of a career question. Well, I don't know in a career class, right? But I would just say start practicing, right? Start practicing. Um, you can start off with handling social media pages for people close to you, friends or relatives who have businesses. Sell to them that you want to help them grow their social media, handle it, and you can start off from there and then you build your portfolio with that. Moving on to the next question, how can I know the right hashtags to use for each post? Good. Now, before you make a post, very important that you do research, hashtag research, right? First, or some hashtags that you may want to focus on first is location specific hashtags. So if you have a business that is based in Lagos, for instance, or Abuja, you want to use hashtags about that location. You also want to consider hashtags that are less trendy. The reason is because if you use hashtags that are trendy for maybe a business or a social media account that is just starting off, you might find it really, really difficult to reach more people. So you need to look for less competitive hashtags to use. Then also the relevance of the hashtag that you use per post determines on what you're posting, right? So if, for instance, you're posting a content that has to do with Monday motivation, since tomorrow is Monday, let me use as an example. Monday motivation, and then you are using a hashtag that says maybe buy my goods or buy my business. It's not really relevant to what you're posting, right? So you need to be strategic in that manner. And another thing I want to touch on, I see a lot of people want to use a lot of hashtags in their post simply because they want to reach more people. That also has its own negative effect, especially on platforms like Instagram, right? So use relevant hashtags that are related to what you are posting. Use location-specific hashtags as well to reach people in that area, your target audience in that area, right? You can also use industry or niche-related hashtag as well to reach people. But above all, target hashtags that are going to be less competitive because you want people to see your post. So yeah. Ido Rejoice, confirm uh, if I answered your question correctly. While you do that, Mr. Joshua, over to you. I think there's a question from somebody about content for ads.
Okay, so I believe the question is from someone administrator. Interesting. So you're deciding contents for ads for a company like a laundromat business. Okay, so recently, like a couple of months back, like 3 months ago, we did a campaign for a laundromat here in Lagos. So in terms of content creative for such an ad, our advice video, right? Our advice video. If you have a good space and you have very good expensive machines, maybe if it's not you, your client has such things, right? Display them, right? Do a video showcasing where people are washing. It's appealing to watch, just like the way um watching someone eat makes you hungry, right? A watching someone wash someone's clothes tends to actually move you to want to wash in that particular place as well. So I don't if you have a good location, you have enough machines, neat environment, you can actually do a video, right? But I know not all laundromat has such, right? But if you don't have such, then you can go ahead and use graphics, right? But I always advise people to use video in such things. But if you don't have such equipment, use graphics. Then focus more when it comes to graphics. Focus more on the content of the graphics. Right? Don't write cliches like have your clothes dry cleaned in 24 hours or all those cliches. Like throw them away. Right? Throw them away if you're using graphics because right now you're competing with people who are using something that people can see. Right. So you need to be very, very, very specific in your offering when it comes to that, when you're using graphics. Administrator, hope you heard me. Administrator, are you
Thank
on
you.
the call?
Thank you. Sorry, I wanted to text and I figured that I can't, but thank you. You have answered my question.
All right, that's okay. So one last question before we call it a day. I believe it's already 8:50 from here. So that's like 10 minutes more. One last question.
Maybe I could ask. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
How do you improve conversions? Or better yet, how do you compare what is the right ratio of a sensible ratio of clicks to impressions to conversions on Google Ads?
Okay, so when it comes to analytics, it's actually similar across platforms, whether Facebook, Google, any platform at all, right? So first of all, one of the things you need to check is you need to check your CTR. So CTR means click-through rate. The number of people, the percentage of people who saw your ads versus the percentage of people who actually engage with your ads. When I use the word engage, I mean click, comment, depending on the platform, right? Google has to do with click. Social media has to do with click, comment, likes, and all sort of things, right? So you need to check the number of people that saw your ads. You need to check reach, impressions. Then you now check the percentage, the click-through rate. Anything less than 6% is poor, extremely poor, right? It needs to be improved, right? So if you're having between 6% to like 10%, that's a good click-through rate. Although it can be better, but at least you're on the safe side. But anything less than 6% click-through rate is actually poor, right? So after you check click-through rate, the next thing you need to check is the conversion, CPC, cost per conversion, right? So or you can check the conversion rates before you get to cost per conversion. You need to check the conversion rate. So how many out of the number of people that clicked, the percentage of people that engaged with your ads, how many of them actually completed the conversion process or the conversion steps? So let's say, for example, your conversion location. Let me use Facebook for example. Is you're directing them to WhatsApp. That they clicked on your ad does not mean that they actually successfully or completed the message conversation, that they initiated it completely. They might click on it by mistake, right? And then realize that, oh, I actually clicked on this ad by mistake, and then close it, right? On Google, what you check is not the conversion rate on Google might be out of the number of people that clicked the your Google search ads, whatever kind of Google ads you're running, and they visit your website, for example, right? How many of them actually completed loading your website? How many of them actually clicked on a button on your website, right? Depending on the conversion you're trying to optimize for, right? If you're optimizing for form, you're optimizing for button clicks, whatever you're trying to optimize for, right? That's like the last KPI, last analytics to look at, conversion rate, right? Then if you want to go more into the professional angle, then you have to look into cost per conversion, to actually know what it costs you to get people to actually convert, people to perform the action you want them to perform through the ads. So that's like how to go about it. Did you hear me? Oh, okay. I've seen
Thank
your
you, thank you.
Yeah. So I think that's basically it from my own end. Mr. Shadow, I can actually take over from here and Mr. Shadrack, are you on the call?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Joshua. Excuse me. So yeah, I know we're almost coming to the end of the class, but I guess this is more for cohort 4, those in cohort 4. If you have any other question you would like to ask, I will just take one more question that maybe isn't ad related before we call it a day. Any questions? Any more questions from anybody, especially those in cohort 4? Okay, so I guess not. Let me not keep everyone here on the call. I know there are a few people who are later into the night that are joining this call. So thank you everybody for joining. This has been quite an amazing and engaging Q&A session, right? I believe a lot of us got answers to the questions that we asked, questions that we had coming to this Q&A session, which is basically the essence of Q&A sessions. And at this point, I'll say good night to everyone. See you again same time next week, and also come with even more questions. I think that will be your last Q&A session for this program. We'll come with more questions, whatever questions that you have throughout the course of the program. Maybe you've not been able to ask prior to that. Come with all of those questions in the next Q&A session. Thank you very much for joining, and bye.